Hey guys, I just wanted to comment in retrospect to my last video, which was the story of my diagnosis. And I wanted to mention a few things. I think that right now there's a big discrepancy between the evolution of psychiatry and the evolution of we as people in our awareness regarding autism spectrum. So, this is a real problem. And that's, systems that take a long time to change. I think it's because, there's all this hierarchy, you know, neurotypicals are very hierarchical and they don't, will not change their policies and change their systems unless, an absolute uproar of people shout out and bug them for a long continuous period of time, and or it gets changed at the educational level in the universities or in the actual law in print. So of course that would make it so that their evolution of awareness would be much slower, and the changing of the criteria would be slower than our own ability to recognize that we are in the autism spectrum, and that we're taking little pieces of the puzzle, that the core traits of autism are there despite not meeting the particular stereotypes that have been listed in the DSM-4 and have gone unspoken in diagnostics. So what further complicates this is that right now the DSM is going to change very soon, and the new DSM eliminates Asperger's syndrome as a diagnosis. So there will only be autism spectrum or social communication disorder. I had a quick glance at the DSM-5, and I believe that most of us that feel that we're Aspies and that do things like stim and have sensory issues and processing issues and whatnot, but still do have strong language, could feasibly get an autism diagnosis. I'm just thinking that right now it's a very hard time to try and get a diagnosis, and I think it's purely because they're trying to reduce the amount of people that are going to have an Asperger's diagnosis, because it's going to change, because they can't change it. If they give people an Asperger's diagnosis now, then they can't change it and take it away. So they're they don't want to diagnose people with Asperger's because it's going to be a permanent thing. I don't know why they're doing that. Could be very simple. I could think there would be ulterior motives, like they're going to make it so much harder for people to get diagnosed with autism spectrum. So why not start now? Another thing is that they might just not really know the new criteria, and what they do know is that the old criteria is on its way out, and they don't have not developed the understanding of the new information. So they're sort of in a spot where clinicians don't like to admit what they don't know. Doctors don't like to admit that they have sort of like a lot of them have a God complex, and it's not just them personally, it's the way that society treats doctors and whatnot. They take this on. So for that reason, it's something that they might be resistant to because they don't know enough about it right at this time. So my advice to somebody who can't obtain a diagnosis, and like I said, if you can't obtain a diagnosis and you've tried your best, I mean, I said don't give up in my last video, but really it depends on your location and whether you do have any kind of evidence of the past to be able to present, and your finances and everything. It depends on so much. And if circumstances just has it that you cannot obtain a diagnosis, and you in your heart that you're on the spectrum, then you are on the spectrum. I mean, the telltale sign is when you connect with other aspects